Join Dr. Tates and Doc's Herbal Corner as we explore the myths and truths of the herbal kingdom.
Greetings and welcome to Doc's Herbal Corner. I am your host, Dr. Stephen Tates. Join us as we explore the science and mysteries of the herbal kingdom. You will learn about properties, functions, and physical responses plants and herbs can and will have on our body. But before we get started with our lesson plan for today, I want to test your basic knowledge on plants and herbs. So grab your pen or pencil and let's get started. Our question for today is on French green clay. Very simply, is French green clay primarily alkaline or acidic? At the end of this segment, we will give you the answer. Today's lesson is French green clay. Now, I know you're going to say, clay, this is an herb class. But when we're talking about clay, we're also talking about something from the earth. Now, when you think of clay, a lot of times you think of clay like when you're making a mask for beautification, and you go in many of your salons, they'll use red or green or white clay or bentonite clay for beautification to get rid of pimples and age lines. But clay is phenomenal as far as medicinal qualities. When you're dealing with clay, you're dealing with a mixture that is extremely alkaline. I mean, very, very, very alkaline. Most of us, our body is 90 to 95% acidic, which means we're prone to diseases and our immune system is weak. So what we want to do is take something in that's very alkaline, and the clay is extremely alkaline. But along with being extremely alkaline, the clay is high in minerals. Not just major minerals, but trace minerals. So we're talking about a mixture that has copper, zinc, cobalt, aluminum, iron, calcium, magnesium, potassium. So actually, clay is very nourishing. Whether you use the clay internally or externally, clay is extremely nourishing. So we're talking about something that is high in minerals, and we're talking about clay that is very alkaline. But also when we're dealing with clay, as I mentioned before, we can use it inside or outside the body. Many people will take clay and mix it with water and drink it internally, just a little bit of clay, to help loosen up hard waste in the system. But we're thinking about clay primarily externally to deal with boils, cysts, external tumors, infections, open sores, cancer conditions that have started to show on the outside of the skin. Clay is also good because of its anti-cancer properties inside and outside the body. Not only because it neutralizes acid, but it has an affinity to cysts and tumors. Now you say, if I use it externally, how is that going to happen? Well, what will happen is that the clay will absorb through the pores of the skin. As it absorbs through the pores of the skin, it gets into the blood. And when it gets into the blood, that's right, it will travel throughout the entire system. So once it is dried and soaked in, then the properties have absorbed through the pores of the skin, and these properties are in your system. Now, one of the other unique things about clay is negatively charged. Waste and poisons in your system has a positive charge. So the clay is drawn toward high volumes of waste, especially waste and poisons that have been in the system for a long period of time. So like a magnet, it is drawn toward the positively charged waste in the body, softens, breaks it up, and helps the body start to flush it out of the system. But that's enough about explaining about clay. You want to know how to mix and prepare clay. Now, clay looks like this. It's just a fine powder. Now, even though I mentioned we're talking about French green clay, You may be thinking, oh, I'm looking for something that's green. See how pottery is? It's almost like flour. Okay? But we're talking about something that's called green clay, but has more of a light brown beige color to it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to mix a little bit together. So, kind of feel like, one of those cooks on TV, the galloping cooks that, mix stuff. We're going to mix stuff together. Now, our ingredients is very simple. We have a spoon, wooden spoon preferably. We have our green clay, and we have water. Very simple. Now, what you're going to do, you don't have to be a rocket scientist for this. You're going to take a little bit of clay, and you're going to put it into another bowl. Now, one of the things you want to be careful with clay is that you want to add small amounts of water first. If you add too much and the clay's floating around in the water, you might as well dump that and start over again. So what we want to do is add small amounts of water first. Okay? So we add that in, just a little bit first, and then we just start to simply mix it. Okay? What you're trying to do is create a muddy, pasty consistency. Now, say for example, and I did this on purpose, it's a little too watery. That's okay. What you do is add just a little bit more clay. Okay? Once you mix this together, it's almost like you're creating a muddy, pasty consistency. Then after that, guess what you do? You just take a little bit and you literally put it on your skin. What you're doing is a nice smooth layer. It does not have to be thick at all, just a smooth layer. It will harden. You'll take some of this and you actually can put it on your face. Yeah, I'm going to do that, okay? Right across the forehead. So lay it across the forehead. This way you can see it. You don't have to put clumps. What you're doing is a good, even layer, okay? I know, look like I'm getting ready to play football or something, okay? Good, even layer across the skin. It will dry. As it dries, it will start to tighten, just like a mask. But we're not using this for beautification. What we're doing is we're putting on a medicinal mixture. This medicinal mixture is designed for the properties to absorb in, to become very alkaline. So if I had a boil on this area, this is where I would put the clay. Not only on the boil, but around that area. If I have outbreaks on my face and on my skin, then I'm applying it on the area, and I'm also applying it around the area. And these properties will absorb in, and it will get hard, and it will start to tighten. And not to the point of pain, but it will start to tighten. Then it will get lighter. You'll see it get lighter around the edges and actually turn a whitish color. Once it's turned a whitish color, then you know most of the properties that are absorbed in. And you can keep this on for like an hour, 2 hours. Some people will put it on and wrap it and keep it on overnight. You might sometimes feel it get warm as it's getting into the area where the toxins and poisons are. So this is French green clay, a very simple formula and how to make it. Now, we're back to our question for today. Remember our question? It was on French green clay. My question was, is French green clay very alkaline or very acidic? If you put down very alkaline, congratulations, you had the correct answer. Now, I want to thank you for joining us at Doc's Herbal Corner. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.